What would you do if a family member disrespected your passions and property, then tried to gaslight you about it? In today's story, the protagonist's choice is a masterclass in how to handle it. I am absolutely fuming, and everyone around me is acting like I'm the unreasonable one, but I'll let you decide for yourselves. You see, I design and sew all of my own clothing. My husband, Arthur, and I live in a beautiful house, and I'm fortunate enough to have a massive room, bathed in gorgeous sunlight, dedicated entirely to my hobbies. This past Thanksgiving, we hosted Arthur's sister, Bethany, and her 3 children. Bethany has always been rather dismissive of me, particularly because I prefer the companionship of pets over children. The Tuesday before Thanksgiving, I had to run out for some last-minute shopping. While I was out, Bethany texted me, asking about a tablecloth for her kids to use while they made Christmas ornaments. I patiently walked her through where to find them, explaining that they were in a specific closet, and that the tablecloths were very clearly marked. When I returned home about 3 hours later, I went to check on everyone. As I stepped into my hobby room, where they had all gathered, I saw it. My blood ran cold, and a guttural scream escaped my lips. "What the hell are you doing?" I ran to the table, my heart pounding in my chest. She had pulled out my exquisite atelier brunette fabric from the closet. The closet itself was clearly marked, as was the fabric within. This particular style of fabric had been discontinued years ago, but I had managed to snag 6 yards of it at $25 a yard. Fabric, especially high-quality fabric, is incredibly expensive, and I usually go to great lengths to find deals at thrift stores or deep clearance sales. This particular fabric was a rare and cherished gift to myself. Bethany looked genuinely alarmed, feigning ignorance of the gravity of her actions. Her children, oblivious to the destruction they had wrought, had spilled all sorts of paint all over the precious fabric. I yelled at everyone to stop, to put down their crafts, and to get out of my hobby room immediately. The room emptied, leaving me alone with the ruined fabric. Hot tears streamed down my face as I tried desperately to salvage it, but it was beyond repair. The emotional weight of seeing something I cherished so deeply, something I had saved for, destroyed so carelessly, was immense. The audacity of her actions, going against my explicit instructions, was infuriating. As the initial wave of grief subsided, a fierce resolve took its place. I then demanded that she replace the fabric, making it clear what kind of replacement I expected. She tried to argue, claiming she had no way of knowing that the ugly-ass fabric was for anything other than a tablecloth, because, in her words, it didn't look like anything anyone would ever seriously wear. Her dismissive attitude only fueled my anger. I reiterated my demand: 6 yards of replacement fabric. This reveals Bethany's greatest fatal flaw, her self-centered arrogance, which ultimately sealed her fate. Then came Black Friday. Bethany and her girls approached me, handing me a Joanne fabric bag. Inside were 6 yards of an absolutely hideous keepsake calico fabric. This fabric typically retails for $9.99 a yard, but it had been on sale that weekend for $3.99. I looked at her, my face devoid of emotion, and asked if she was serious. She nodded, confirming, "Yes, here's 6 yards of ugly-ass fabric." My voice was low, laced with a dangerous calm as I deadpanned, "Get the fuck out of my house, now." Bethany's face contorted in anger, and she started railing at me, claiming it wasn't her fault that I had expensive taste. I cut her off, my voice rising, "Leave, now, and don't come back unless you have equal quality fabric." Of course, since then, everyone around me has been calling me an awful, evil person for not graciously accepting her insulting offering of shit-quality quilting cotton. For those of you who aren't familiar with fabrics, this was akin to someone crashing your 2020 Maserati and then presenting you with a 2001 Honda Civic as a replacement. Many people would say I overreacted, but as commenter Zucchinis wisely put it, destroying your personal belongings is never excusable under any circumstances. If this had been about someone destroying a prized video game collection or other nerd crap, there would be no question. Let me be absolutely clear about something that seems to have been missed. Bethany went far out of her way to grab that fabric. It wasn't even in the same room, let alone the same closet, as the tablecloths, which were, I repeat, clearly marked. There was absolutely no reason for her to be rummaging around in my fabric closet. This was not by any stretch of the imagination. An honest mistake. When we were on the phone, I specifically directed her to the linen closet. The linen closet is right next to one of the bathrooms. Each shelf in that closet is meticulously labeled: towels, guest towels, bed linens, guest bed linens, and so on. I told her, "You see the shelf marked tablecloths? There's one with paint on it. You can use that." My fabric closet, on the other hand, is in the master bedroom, not even in the craft room. Every larger cut of fabric is carefully stored inside a plastic tub, often in a vacuum-sealed bag, and each is clearly labeled with the yardage, manufacturer, and fiber content. She had to deliberately go out of her way to access my fabric. As commenter Momzilla pointed out, she had no right to go through my home to where my fabric was stored when I texted her the location of the tablecloths. Taking an item from a cabinet clearly marked fabric and pretending it was innocently mistaken for a tablecloth was an absolute intentional invasion of property. The cheap replacement fabric was just another slap in the face. This whole situation has made me realize the true nature of some people. It's not just about the fabric. It's about respect, boundaries, and accountability. What's your take on this? Should I have graciously accepted the insult?